This is 5-Minute Feng Shui podcast number 40. How to shift your energy when you're stuck in a negative spiral. Welcome to the 5-Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Today we're talking about what to do when life has got you in those circumstances where you feel like everything is spiraling out of control, where things are just not working the way you want them to, that it's all kind of, you're in a downward kind of devolution instead of an evolution where you're growing, you're devolving in your life. Things are sliding backwards for you. You feel like you're going in a negative direction. And when that kind of situation occurs, and trust me, it happens to everybody. We all feel like there are times in our lives when we're backward stepping, and sometimes we are, and sometimes we need to be. I personally have taken some backward steps where I have purposely not worked or not done my normal routine because I felt like I needed to step back from it. Some people would call that a backwards progression, but for me, sometimes it's really more about I have to let go of something and I have to take that step back. But what we're really talking about today is when circumstances in your life are dictating to you and they're making you feel as though you're in that backward spiral. And that is when we need to stop what we're doing, or we need to interrupt the flow of our energy that's taking us in that negative direction. It's because when life isn't going the way we want, many times this is a case of energy flow. For example, a few key principles in Feng Shui is that it's very simple. That Newton's principle that says, that physics principle that says that a body in motion stays in motion, or in other words, energy continues to go where energy is currently flowing. Body stays in motion unless acted upon an outside force. That's actually how that goes. Is a thing in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Now, a friend used to, and I'm gonna give you an example of that. So that would be obviously that like a car is going to continue moving down the street, right? So if you imagine your life as a car and you're driving along a street and then somebody T-bones you, well, you would have continued going on down that street, right? But then somebody decided to run a stop sign or a red light and they stopped you. You were acted upon by an outside force. And that happens to us, sometimes through no fault of our own. Sometimes it's the economy. Sometimes it's the earthquake like what's been happening in California here recently. Nobody plans on having their house shaken apart into bits and all their possessions thrown on the ground. These things happen. Companies have layoffs. Sometimes they are through our own actions. It could be through substance abuse. It could be through just dumb choices that we make. And that happens. In fact, probably I'd say 90% of the time, when our life isn't going the way we want, it's because we chose that path many times, but not always. There are circumstances that come that we just cannot foresee. We absolutely cannot. I had a friend, and she seemed to always relish telling me how difficult her life was. And she was my drama and trauma friend. And it seemed like whenever I would talk to her, she'd love to say, this thing happened or that thing happened, and look how my life is, and it's just one bad thing after another. And that seemed to be the pattern that her life took. But it was also her pattern of speaking, her pattern of believing, her pattern of acting. And what she needed was an interruption of energy. So she could either continue to fixate on all the things went wrong, count the ways of how life has wronged her, and go in the path that she was in, or she could do something different. This was a really difficult concept for her to wrap her head around, because I would talk with her about, hey, instead of let's talk about what's not working, let's talk about what is working or what could work. How about trying X or Y or Z? And finally, I told her, the more you fixate on the problems, especially this particular issue, there was a particular issue that was really bothering her. I said, why don't you just, instead of complaining about it, either bless it. In this instance, it was a car. She's complaining about her car all the time. Car was a problem. Car was this. I need a new car. I haven't had a new car in a long time. The car needs new brakes. The car's got this engine problem. The car, whatever it is. And it's like, if it's got four wheels and it's moving under its own power, I'd say, that's a blessing to get from point A to point B, because there are a lot of people that don't have cars. And you can look at it like that, or you can sit there and count the ways that your car was wrong. Finally, she said, I don't think I can get a new car. But I said, well, do you think you could just stop talking about it? And she said, yeah, I think I could stop talking about it. And I said, and how about just saying, to yourself that I am grateful for an opportunity to purchase another car, and just be thinking, okay, instead of what I don't want. This is a big thing. Part of this negative spiral that we get into is we think about what we don't want. And, well, I don't want blah, blah, blah to happen. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to be overdrawn. Well, you lose job, overdrawn. All the things that happen after don't are usually what happens. So we want to think about what we do want to happen. And she actually did think about, and this, I'm telling you, she was painted into a corner, really difficult circumstance of a relationship and divorce and so on. And she started thinking about, well, I'm going to think positively about looking forward to opportunities to buy a new car. And sure enough, within about 3 weeks, one came available. One that she would never have imagined. It came out of the blue. It was not a perfect car, but it was so much better, safer, more reliable than the car that she had had. And she was so happy because it was affordable for her. And that is because I believe she stopped the flow of energy toward my car is horrible. And it made a huge difference for her in that she was able to get another car. You have to let go of the attachment of any negative energy pattern if you want to change it. And in feng shui, there are times you need to interrupt that energy flow in your life to help it flow in a new positive direction, sort of like stopping the eye from traveling out the back of the window when you enter the front door. If you enter the front door of your home and you can see all the way out a back window, that's I call see-through houses. If you can stand at your door and look all the way and see another door, there's an absolute door or window opposite your front door, energy is going to flow straight through. We have to stop the flow of energy. When I always say too, energy flows where the eye goes, and your energy, like money, physical vitality, or like my friend, a car, when it was always flowing in a negative direction, there goes the energy. Right with it. It kept flowing in that direction. It went straight through kept going on with the negativity. And she wasn't having the kind of life where she was seeing positive things happen. So she had to stop what she was doing, retrack, to restart in a new pattern and a new way of behaving. And there's something more to think about when you think about your energy. Psychologists often say that we won't let go of a negative situation because we're either haven't experienced enough pain with it. I know that's a lovely one, isn't it? That we haven't experienced enough pain from that situation, or what we think of as pain is actually something we enjoy. Now, hang in there with me because I know this is a lot to digest. And I see this happen a lot, especially with clients. They tell me about this or that problem that they're having in their home and or their life, but they'll often tell me why they can't change it. And I believe it's because they simply haven't wrung out enough pain out of that situation just yet. They're not fully saturated with the pain, or there's something they're getting out of it. Maybe they enjoy that fight with their husband or their wife. Maybe they enjoy the being the victim of being passed over for that promotion all the time, and they don't see what their role is in that situation, or they don't believe that they can be in a certain position at work or be the vice president of sales or whatever the case may be. In other words, there's something that person is getting out of that negative situation. And you've got to be honest with yourself. Am I getting something out of this negative situation I'm in? And sometimes what you're getting out of it is just a chance to grouse and complain. Then you have to ask yourself, well, why do I want to grouse and complain? Do I like being with those people? No, usually not, but I want to do it. So you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm going to be getting at it? You also have to assess your truth. So for instance, I would ask myself, am I really, truly ready to move on from this relationship? My lack of money, my addiction to alcohol or drugs, or my addiction to helping my kid who is addicted to drugs. And if so, what is stopping me? What's stopping me from moving on, from enabling my kid with the drug addiction? Or what's stopping me from getting that promotion? Is it my degree that I need to finish? Is it a class or a course that I need to take? Is it just that I need to apply to a new job? Or am I really getting something out of this negative situation? You may find that even in a bad situation, you want to hang on to it because it validates your negative thoughts or opinions that you have of yourself or your life. And over time, what happens when we do that, our pain becomes like a sick friend. That's because we get used to that pain. And when we become accustomed to things being bad, and we take the opinion that that's just the way things are for us, it keeps us stuck in that negative spiral. And where is a thing in motion going to continue to go? Continually to go negative. So that's how it works that way. I'll give you an example of myself. A while back, this is some years ago, about 10 years ago, I was on my way to a size 14. And I told myself over and over, every time I had an opportunity to look at myself in a mirror, how bad I looked, how my thighs were too big, or my behind looked awful, or clothes don't fit me, or I don't look good in clothes. And that's not something that I had ever really felt honestly in my life. I love clothes. I love to go shopping, but I never missed an opportunity to criticize myself in the way I looked. And I decided that I'm just going to stop all negative talk. I'm not going to sit there and lie to myself and go, you look like a supermodel. I wasn't going to tell myself that. But what I did commit to was just letting those negative thoughts go through and not articulating them, not saying this. Because I really do count this negative self-talk as the source of my undoing when I would try to make changes before. I held on to more than 30 pounds of negative self-talk and almost 3 dress sizes of self-critical comments. I had gone from a situation where I could not find anything right with myself. So letting that go and and not being negative toward myself and saying those comments. Now, you may do that. I overdraw my checking account. Maybe that's your thing. Oh, I'm always in the red in my bank account, or I'm always overcharging on my credit card. I think it's more common these days. You go over your balance, or you forget to pay the bill, or I'm just not good with money, and I've never been good with money, and my family was never good with money, whatever that case may be. And all those self-criticisms add up, and they keep going, and they keep you going in that negative spiral. Well, these days I'm in a size medium, and I'm size 10. Last year it was a size 8, but I gained a few pounds, and I'm working on that size 8 again. But 10 I can live with, and 14 was not good because, well, it hurt. My joints hurt. I didn't feel well. Wasn't as energetic. So I'm not making any judgments about sizes or weight levels or any body image. For me, this is my comfort zone. I really like to be a size 10, 8, really prefer 8, because I feel better. It's easier to move. My joints don't hurt and all that good stuff. So that's just my comment on me. It's what's interesting is that once I stopped criticizing and fault finding with myself and doing all that negative self-talk, the weight started to go. And that made a huge difference for me. And I found that I didn't just see hate when I looked in the mirror. And that's so critical, that you see something positive in your life, or just that you don't see negativity, or that you don't hear negativity. That little hamster up in the cage of your mind, if it's constantly running that wheel of negativity, that's just going to keep you in that negative cycle. Letting go of our own old patterns and interrupting our negative energies is some of the best way to find our way out of a bad situation and that negative spiraling loop that we get caught in. But the important thing is that you have to be completely honest with yourself. You got to ask yourself if you enjoy your pain, if it's a crutch, if it's something you want to hold on to and blame everyone else in your life or everything else for what goes wrong in your life. This is actually part of feng shui, because if you do something, move some things in your home, you might see some changes. But if you can make changes in your home and in your life, you're going to compound the results that you're going to see. This is such an important part, because this is part of your personal energy. Feng Shui is made up of 3 types of luck: heaven luck, man luck, and earth luck. Heaven luck is if you were born with blue eyes or brown eyes, you're left-handed or right-handed, your parents are Sally and Bob or whoever. We can't change our heaven luck. It's sometimes called karma. But we have 2 other types of luck that we can change, and that's our man luck and our earth luck. Earth luck is feng shui, how we live, the way we live. Are we living in a messy environment? Is our home attractive? Is it orderly? Is it organized? Or are there ants running around the countertops? And man luck is the type of luck that you have yourself, that you exert a force and control over. That is how you think about yourself, how you think about life, how you act toward yourself, how you act toward life. Do you actually put in the effort at work that you need to put in to get that promotion? If you're always the last one to come in the morning and the first one to leave at night, it might not look so good. It may not look like you're committed. So you have to be honest with yourself. Are you making those actions in your life that when you work with your feng shui, they compound? And then you go, whoa, big changes are happening. I have a client that I'm working with who is doing amazing things in a very large business sector that makes just oodles and oodles of money. And she has such a positive outlook and positive expectation. And she continues to, she has her setbacks too, but she continues to look forward to what she can do and how she can change and how she can improve herself, and in so doing, her life just keeps unfolding, just like petals on a lotus. They just keep opening up and opening up and opening up more and more opportunities for her. So ask yourself what you're holding on to and consider what it is you want to let go of. Things that are very common for a lot of people are like my example, weight. It could be pain. Some people like to hold on to pain. They enjoy that. Pain could be from people who hurt you. You might want to hold on to objects that you dislike or that make you unhappy or remind you of some unhappy circumstance. Maybe you had a grandfather who was mean to you, but you keep holding on to some object from his, or you were given a picture that you absolutely hate that was your grandmother's. Those objects that you dislike and that make you unhappy exert a force on you. If you look every day at something that makes you unhappy, that could be like a mark on the wall or an antique object or an heirloom that you positively despise. That acts on you. You could be holding on to ideas or concepts about yourself that are harmful or just no longer useful. You could be holding on to situations like jobs or relationships that make you unhappy. It could also be just simple stuff like clutter, paper, clothes, objects, or furniture. You may have like a mole, a wart, or some physical aspect about yourself that you dislike. You could also have inconveniences or burdens on your time and energy. That might be like commitments that you've made to do things. Maybe sometimes you need to break a commitment. Maybe you need to get out of a situation. My sister had a mole on her chin. And I think it really detracted from her looks. And it was probably when she was after her 40s that she had it removed. And it made such a difference. And she was so much happier with the way she looked. Because every time she would go to the mirror and look at herself, she would look at herself, but she would still see that mole. And it bothered her a lot. She finally got rid of it, had it taken off, and she felt so much better. Look at what it is that you're tolerating in life. Sometimes things aren't really about pain. It's just what is an annoyance or something you're tolerating that is driving you crazy. Sometimes it's things that other people are giving you their problems, like the friend who's always calling and dumping on you, but never calls you up and says, hey, what's going on in your life? Tell me how things have been for you. I'd love to hear what you've been doing. Instead they tell you, oh, this happened and that happened, and it just goes on and on. Sometimes you need to distance yourself from those people. These are just some of the common things that you might want to move on from. And if so, this is the time to do it. It's always a good idea to reassess your life and to let go of pain and frustration and the things that have been blocking you or the things that you've been holding on to. That's what I typically find that people have negative spirals that are based on. So they keep thinking, oh, my life just keeps, like I was saying, devolving. Things keep going in a negative direction. And they wonder, why does it keep going like this? Well, typically it's because they have to hold on to something. Maybe it's a need to be right. Even something like that. I've seen there's a client I have, and she has a need to be right in her personal life and in her career, and it just kills her, and she can't ever see her way out of these circumstances, but she won't let go of that need. It's time to, if you're really ready to let go of, or really ready to move on and to stop that negative spiral, you've got to interrupt that energy by letting go. Letting go of the pain and frustration in your life will unblock your life so that you can receive what you want. And if you're frustrated, in life and you feel like you haven't gotten where you want to go, well, maybe you need to do something different. And a lot of times for me, that's really about letting go of something. So letting go of self-criticism, letting go of something in your life that makes you unhappy. Even if it's just a dumb shirt that has a stain on it, a ketchup stain that you've never been able to get out. Throw that away. Don't donate it. Don't pass along that negativity. Throw it away. Let go of your attachment to negativity. When you let go of your attachment to negativity, you will find your way out of that negative spiral. And then you'll find that you'll see your path to your biggest gains comes from letting go. there's a Chinese proverb that you can't fill a full cup. And by letting go of some of the negativities, you open your cup to receive. And that's what I want for you. All right. I hope this has been a helpful episode of 5-Minute Feng Shui, because I've often seen that in life, holding on to things like clutter, and negative thoughts are clutter, negative opinions, negative talk, negative self-image, all that kind of stuff, or beliefs, addictions, substance abuse, relationships that drag you down, tolerations, just eat at you and suck away your soul. So let go of those, and you will open up a new path and open up an opportunity for energy that's positive to come in for you. So let's talk about those 3 tips on getting yourself out of a negative spiral. Number 1, interrupt your energy. Do anything that's different. If it could be exercise, it could be limiting alcohol or sugar, or if you have money fears, look at your bank accounts, set up an accounting system, declutter, let go of negative thoughts. Stop doing the negative self-talk like me for weight loss. If I'm always telling myself that I'm fat or I look bad, guess what? I look fat and I feel I am fat and I look bad. Please don't, that's not, again, not a judgment on sizes or that kind of thing. But for me, that's my self-talk. And I wanted to be honest with you guys, because that's where I am. So do anything that's different. Try doing different things and outside of, so if you have negative self-talk, but look at your habits. That's another thing that you can look at besides the negative habits. Look at increasing or doing something or adding to your life something that's positive. Really helpful way to change and shift your energy. Number 2, help somebody else. Shift your energy. Like, for instance, one time I was upset about, I was reading some story about the decimation of lands for roaming and grazing animals in Africa. So I joined World Wildlife Fund. I went, that's terrible. The elephants have to have a place to roam and live, and that's awful. And I went, well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to complain and go, oh, isn't that a shame? Tisk, tisk, tisk. No, I put my money with it, and now I feel good. And when I see those horrible stories, I feel good that every month money goes to World Wildlife Fund to preserve habitat for wild animals. So help somebody else. Maybe go help it at a local charity, do some donations, spend time helping Habitat for Humanity. You can find any number of ways to help somebody. Number 3, admit your addictions. Now, this can be an addiction to a negative thought, a negative way of being. Like for me, it was self-talk, my negative self-talk. This could be a substance, a situation, a belief. It could be a relationship that's unhealthy. Admit it. Come out and admit your addiction. What I'm addicted to negative self-talk. I'm addicted to fighting all the time. I'm addicted to believing I can't move up in my career, or I'm going to be limited to how much I earn. Admit that addiction. It's amazing when you admit to yourself what's really going on or what's really behind the problems in your life, how it can help you see more clearly and get past it. And that's what I wish for you. One of the things I'd like to offer you is my 28 Days to Prosperity program. And even though we're talking about, it says prosperity, I believe prosperity is more than just money. It's being healthy and wealthy in love and in health and wealthy in friends and social opportunities and business. And that is true prosperity. And I want you to have that type of prosperity. One of the things that the 28 Days program does is it talks to you about all different types of prosperity and all the different areas in your life. So if you want to get on a fresh start, this is a really great way to jumpstart your life. And that is the 28 Days program. Sign up at redlotusletter.com. And each day you'll get an email from me with something simple to do. And I hope that will help you start shifting some of your energy and creating a path where that negative spiral will stop and it will change into a new and positive and healthy direction for you. Thanks for being with me today. I'll talk to you next time on 5-Minute Feng Shui. Thanks for listening today to 5 Minute Feng Shui. Be sure to join me on Facebook at facebook.com/Feng Shui Katie. And if you're really ready to move ahead quickly, head over to redlotusletter.com and sign up for my free 4-week e-course, 28 Days to Prosperity. You'll get daily lessons and tips on how to get unstuck and create financial flow in your life. Make it a fantastic day.